Hi, I am Ariel, and welcome to my channel. In this podcast, I am going to talk about English vocabulary. Now, let's get started. This is when you do something or try something simply so you can move on. For example, let's say you've been talking about going skydiving for years and years. You research it, you look at different websites, you talk to people about it, but you've never actually done it. Someone might say, just go skydiving so you can get it out of your system. Once you do it, you can stop researching it, stop looking it up, and just move on already. I like this one. Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil sounds negative because of the word devil, but it's not at all. This is used when you're talking about someone, and they appear exactly as you're talking about them. This has happened, right? Let's say you're talking to a friend about your mutual friend, Bob. Oh, is Bob going to come to the party? Oh, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Bob. And then your phone rings. And guess what? It's Bob. You can say, speak of the devil, to give someone the benefit of the doubt. This is when you trust someone when they tell you something. So if a coworker is late and they call you saying, I'm stuck in traffic, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's trust that he's actually stuck in traffic. No pain, no gain. This is a classic one. It's used to say that if you want results, real results, you have to be willing to work hard and get uncomfortable. So, I might say, if you want to improve your public speaking skills, no pain, no gain, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Hang in there. This is a great one. It simply means, don't give up. I know learning a language is hard, but hang in there. A penny for your thoughts. This is used to ask someone what they're thinking. Let's say your friend is just staring out the window and you're wondering what they're thinking about. You can turn to your friend and say, a penny for your thoughts? It's not rocket science. Rocket science is complicated, right? But if we say, it's not rocket science, it means it's not complicated. So, I could say, becoming a confident English speaker is not rocket science. It's not complicated. You just have to practice speaking. To let someone off the hook. This is a great one because it means that you don't punish someone for a mistake or wrongdoing. For example, your boss could say, I know you came in late today, but I'm going to let you off the hook. This means they're not going to punish you, to make a long story short. This is when you take a long and usually complicated story and make it very simple by sharing it briefly. You could say, long story short, we missed our flight. There's a long story about why you missed the flight, but you don't explain the details. You just summarize it. Easy does it. This is a way of saying slow down. So, if your friend is at the gym trying to do too many exercises with too much weight, you might say, easy does it, slow down. To go back to the drawing board. This is when you need to start over and create a new plan or strategy because the first one failed. Let's say you were trying to solve a computer problem. You came up with a strategy, but it didn't work. Then you can say to your team, well, let's go back to the drawing board and try again. Once in a blue moon. This describes something that happens infrequently. For example, I only see Kara once in a blue moon, meaning not very often, at the drop of a hat. This is a great one because it means without hesitation or instantly. For example, call me if you need anything and I'll be there at the drop of a hat. This means I'll come instantly if you need anything. It's a really nice and reassuring thing to say to someone, to add insult to injury. This is when you take a bad situation and it becomes even worse. Let's say you're going out on a first date and your date shows up late. That's already a bad situation. But then, to add insult to injury, your date forgot his wallet and you had to pay for both of you to hit the sack. This means to go to bed. For example, I'm really tired. I'm going to hit the sack. The ball's in your court. This is used when someone needs to make the next decision or take the next step. I might say, we offered her a great promotion, so now the ball's in her court. This means it's up to her to decide whether she'll accept the promotion, look for another job, or do something else. To be barking up the wrong tree. This means looking in the wrong place or accusing the wrong person. For example, if you think I lost your ring, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're barking up the wrong tree. You're accusing the wrong person. To get or to have your ducks in a row. This means they should have been organized or prepared. To get or have the best of both worlds. This is when you enjoy the advantages of two very different things at the same time. She works in the city, but lives in the country. She gets the best of both worlds. The lion's share. This is the largest part, or most of something. So you might complain, I did the lion's share of the work on this project. To be on the ball. This is when you're performing really well. Wow, you completed all those reports already? You're on the ball. To pull someone's leg. This is when you're joking with someone. We usually use this to reassure someone that we're only joking. Don't get upset, I'm just pulling your leg. To pull yourself together. This is when you need to calm down and regain your composure after being really upset, agitated, angry, or annoyed. I might say, pull yourself together. It was a false alarm. The alarm made you really agitated, and I'm telling you to calm down. So far, so good. This is how you reply when you want to let someone know that everything is okay up to this point. How's the project going? So far, so good. To be the last straw. This is when you have no patience left for someone's errors or mistakes. I might say, this is her 5th time being late this month. That's the last straw. This means no more patience for her mistakes. Time flies when you're having fun. This is used to say that you don't notice how long something takes because it's enjoyable. You might look at your watch and say, oh wow, it's 1 a.m. already. Then someone could reply, yeah, time flies when you're having fun. To be bent out of shape. This is used to say you're upset or angry. For example, Janice is bent out of shape because she has to work late tonight. To make matters worse, matters in this sense means problems, so this phrase means to make problems worse. I might say, I have to work tonight, and to make matters worse, I have an early appointment tomorrow. Don't judge a book by its cover. You've probably heard this one. It means that you shouldn't judge someone or something based on appearance. For example, let's say I'm hiring people and I say, I'm not going to hire him. Look at his hair. Then my colleague would say, Don't judge a book by its cover. Look at his resume. To fall between two stools. This is when something fails to achieve two separate objectives. Let's say you plan to watch a romantic comedy movie. That movie is supposed to be both romantic and funny at the same time, two objectives. But if it wasn't romantic and it wasn't funny, you could say, that movie fell between two stools. To cost an arm and a leg, this is when something is exceptionally expensive. Airline tickets are usually expensive, but if they are even more expensive than usual, I might say, my flight cost an arm and a leg. To cross a bridge when you come to it, this is used to remind someone that they only need to deal with a situation when it happens. Your friend might be worried, what if I forget all my words during my IELTS speaking exam? Then you can tell your friend, cross that bridge when you come to it. This means worry about that problem when it happens. To cry over spilt milk. This is used when someone complains about a problem or a loss from the past. Let's say I had a party weeks ago, and now I'm complaining, I can't believe John didn't come to my party. My friend can say, don't cry over spilt milk. Cry over spilled milk. It was 3 weeks ago. Why are you still talking about it? Curiosity killed the cat. This is used to say that being inquisitive or asking a lot of questions can lead to an unpleasant situation. For example, let's say your husband or wife is planning a surprise birthday party for you, and you keep asking a lot of questions. What are we doing? Where are we going? Who's coming? Then your spouse might say, curiosity killed the cat, as a reminder not to ask too many questions, to miss the boat. This is when you lose an opportunity because you were too slow to take action. For example, the application deadline was last week. I missed the boat. To be on fire. This means to perform really well. Wow, your presentation was amazing. You were on fire. To spill the beans. This is when you reveal a secret that you shouldn't have. For example, if you're planning a surprise party for someone, you might tell everyone, don't spill the beans. Don't reveal the secret. To be under the weather. This is when you feel unwell or sick. I'm a little under the weather today. You're doing a great job. Think of everything you've learned so far. Now, let's focus on how you can share your opinion professionally and naturally. You're going to learn over 50 opinion words right now. Now let's get started with sharing your personal opinion. Let's say you're in a work meeting and you have an idea you want to share with everyone. We should hire a marketing expert to build our website. You can absolutely say that, but you can sound more professional and advanced if you use an opinion word. There are many different phrases you can use to share your personal opinion. I recommend starting with 2 or 3 that you like the most, and then you can add more once you get comfortable with them. This will give you variety so you're not always using the same one. Here's the list. In my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective, from my point of view. Personally, I think that, in my view, I'd say that, I believe that, I strongly, firmly believe that, I'm convinced that, there's no doubt in my mind that, I feel that, in my mind, it seems to me that. Now let's take our idea again. We should hire a marketing expert to build our website. You could say, as far as I'm concerned, we should hire a marketing expert. In my opinion, we should hire a marketing expert. Personally, I think that we should hire a marketing expert. You can use any of these. And remember, variety is key. You don't always want to say, in my opinion. You can absolutely use that, but it's good to mix it up. Now, let's talk about agreeing with an opinion. You're in a meeting and a colleague says, we should postpone the conference. Or they might use an opinion phrase, I firmly believe that we should postpone the conference. Now, let's say you agree. What can you say? Here's a big list. I agree with you, I think so too. That's a good point. You're right, definitely, absolutely. I second that. I couldn't have said it better myself. I couldn't agree more. We're on the same page. You hit the nail on the head. For example, your colleague says, from my perspective, we should postpone the conference. You could respond, I couldn't agree more. We should postpone the conference. You're right. We should postpone the conference. Absolutely, we should postpone the conference. I agree with you. Now, let's say your colleague shares a negative opinion. I don't think we should postpone the conference. Or, personally, I don't think we should postpone the conference. If you agree with this negative opinion, there's one specific phrase you should use. Neither do I. For example, in my mind, I don't think we should postpone the conference. You can respond, neither do I. You only use this when you're agreeing with a negative opinion. Now let's talk about disagreeing with an opinion. You're in a meeting, and your colleague says, in my mind, we should look for a new supplier. But you don't agree. What can you say? Here are some ways to express disagreement. I disagree with you. I'm afraid I disagree. On the contrary, I understand where you're coming from, but I respect your opinion, but that's a good point. However, I see your point, but I have a different perspective. I think, can I share my opinion? That's one way of looking at it. But have you considered the fact that the first phrase, I disagree with you, is probably the least commonly used because it sounds a little too direct and argumentative. We usually want to soften our disagreement. A better way to disagree is, I'm afraid I disagree with you. This makes it sound much softer and more polite. Another way to make your disagreement more diplomatic is to acknowledge their perspective first. I respect your opinion, but I don't think that's a good idea. I respect your opinion, but I think we should keep our supplier. My personal favorite in this category is, I understand where you're coming from, but. This is another way of saying, I respect your opinion. For example, I understand where you're coming from, but right now isn't the best time to change our suppliers because it's our busiest time of year. We should wait until Q4. And remember, you can combine these disagreement phrases with personal opinion. Phrases, from my perspective, we should wait until Q4. In my mind, we should wait until Q4. From my point of view, we should wait until Q4. Now let's talk about sharing a general opinion. Sentence cut off. Let me know if you need me to continue from here. Statement. Repetition is key when you're learning any new skill. Now, I personally believe this, but it's not my opinion per se. This is just a commonly held opinion by many different people. So, here are some general opinion words you can use. It's said that. It's believed that. I've heard that. It's considered that. It's generally accepted that. Most agree that. Some say that. It goes without saying that. Researchers and experts suggest that. For example, it's generally accepted that repetition is key when you're learning any new skill. And personally, I agree. In fact, I couldn't have said it better myself. So you can absolutely share a general opinion and then agree with it using one of the phrases you've already learned. Or maybe you want to disagree with this statement. Well then, of course, you can use one of the phrases for disagreement. On the contrary, repetition isn't that important. I'm afraid I disagree. Repetition isn't that important. In my mind. And then you share your personal opinion. How to ask for someone's opinion. Let's say I share a general opinion. Most agree that repetition is key when learning a new skill. Now I want to ask for your opinion on this specific topic. Here are some ways I could do that. Do you agree? What's your opinion? What do you think? What are your thoughts? What's your view? How do you see this situation? What's your take on it? What about you? How about you? Has that been your experience? What has your experience been? Are we on the same page? Is that something you would support too? For example, if you're talking to someone who's currently learning a new skill, it could be really interesting to ask them, has that been your experience? What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? The power of transition. Words. I've saved the best for last. One of the easiest ways to sound more advanced, professional, and fluent is by using transition words. They are the secret to elevating your English. Now, you're going to learn 50 of the most common transition words. What are transition words? Transition words are individual words or phrases that you can use to organize your ideas, show connections between your ideas. They're commonly used in academic or formal writing, but you shouldn't limit their use to just that. You can absolutely use them in your spoken English to sound more advanced and professional. And if you stick around, I'll show you how you can use transition words to expand your ideas, so you can take a simple idea and talk about it for longer. Transition words for cause and effect, causation. Let's start with our first group, cause and effect transition words. Here are two separate ideas. I spilled my coffee. I changed my shirt. Now, let's use a transition word to combine these ideas and show their relationship. I spilled my coffee. As a result, I changed my shirt. This shows cause and effect. Common cause and effect transition words. Listed from most formal to least formal. Consequently, hence accordingly. Thus, for that reason, as a result, therefore, and so, since, because, due to. For example, I spilled my coffee. As a result, I changed my shirt. This is a casual statement. It might sound a little odd to use a very formal transition word here, like, I spilled my coffee. Consequently, I changed my shirt. It's grammatically correct, but consequently is a bit too formal for casual speech. When to use formal versus informal transition words. Formal transition words are great for academic, professional, or business contexts. For example, in a business setting, the project is over budget. We have to cut costs. Now, using a transition word, the project is over budget. Therefore, we have to cut costs. This sounds more professional and structured. To show our cause and effect, we'll use a transition word to combine these ideas. Because it's a more formal context, I can use a more formal transition word. The project is over budget. Hence, consequently, thus, we have to cut costs. Chronology, time-related transition words. Chronology refers to how events are related based on when they occur. Think of time. Here are 3 events. I went to the store, I worked out, I made dinner. Now, we can add transition words to make this more structured. First, I went to the store. Next, I worked out. Finally, I made dinner. By adding transition words, the sentence sounds more organized and advanced. Transition. Words for chronology. First, firstly, to start, to begin, at the beginning. At the start, second, secondly, after, afterwards, next, then, subsequently, later third, thirdly, same words as second, secondly, after, next, then, etc. Finally, lastly, last but not least. Notice that for the second and third events, many transition words are the same. For example, you could say, after I went to the store, I worked out. After that, I made dinner. Or, to avoid repetition, after I went to the store, I worked out. Then, I made dinner. Varying transition words helps show off your advanced vocabulary. Contrast, opposing ideas. When you have 2 opposing ideas, you can use contrast transition words. For example, I love ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant. These ideas contradict each other. I love ice cream, but I can't eat it. Transition words for contrast, listed from most formal to least formal. However, although though, but examples. I love ice cream. However, I'm lactose intolerant. I love ice cream, but I'm lactose intolerant. More casual. For simple ideas like this, a simpler transition word, but, is often more natural. Addition. Similar ideas. Now, let's say we have 2 related ideas. I love ice cream. I love cake. These ideas add to each other because they're in the same category, desserts. Transition words for addition, from most formal to least formal. Furthermore, moreover, further. Additionally, in addition, also, and very basic, but still useful. Instead of simply saying, and, try, I love ice cream. In addition, I love cake. I love ice cream. Moreover, I love cake. More formal. This elevates your sentence. Generality, when something is true. Most of the time. Sometimes things are not always true, but they are true most of the time. For example, our meetings are very productive. But realistically, some meetings might not be productive. So, to be more accurate, we can add a generality transition word. Generally speaking, our meetings are very productive. Common generality transition. Words. In general, generally speaking, by and large, for the most part, most of the time, more often than not, usually, typically, mostly examples, supporting your ideas. There are really only three main transition words for giving examples. For example, as an example. For instance, using these makes your point stronger and adds clarity. For example, this software has really helped us. Now, let's make this stronger. This software has really helped us. For example, it reduced our error rate by 40%. Or, this software has really helped us. For instance, our team now completes projects 20% faster. Emphasis, making a stronger point. This category is used when you want to emphasize an idea by adding more supporting information. For example, I love pie. Now let's make this point stronger. I love pie. In fact, it's my favorite dessert. Favorite dessert. These are the only two transition words that are commonly used to add emphasis. Conclusion. Transition words. Notice, I just used a transition word. And finally, that is a conclusion transition word. Of course, in this category, we use these transition words when we want to end what we're saying, end our speech or our presentation. Most common conclusion transition words, from most formal to least formal. In conclusion, to conclude, to summarize, in sum, all things considered, finally, overall, ultimately, in the end, to wrap up, to sum up, all in all. Let's say I'm ending my presentation at work, and I want my colleagues to remember one very important fact. If we want to remain competitive, we have to invest in automation. To let my colleagues know that this is my final point, I will add a conclusion transition word. Ultimately, if we want to remain competitive, we have to invest in automation. Bonus. Tip. Expanding your ideas with transition. Words. You can use transition words to expand on your ideas and make your speech more structured. Let's take one simple idea. In general, our meetings are very productive. Now I can expand on this idea using different categories of transition words, adding a contrast. However, they usually run over time. Giving an example. For example, today our meeting was scheduled to end at 11 o'clock, but it went until 11:17, showing cause and effect. As a result, I was late for a meeting with a client, adding a similar idea. Additionally, I had to work through lunch to catch up. By layering transition words, you create longer, more detailed, and professional-sounding sentences. Essential greetings for tourists in North America. Now, let's talk about all the phrases you need when greeting people as a tourist. When visiting stores, restaurants, or interacting with service providers, such as renting a car or booking a tour, you can use these common greetings. Hello. This is the standard greeting for most situations. Hi there. A friendly but neutral greeting. Example. Hi there. When entering a restaurant or store. You wouldn't normally wave in this situation. I'm just doing it as an example. Time-specific greetings. Depending on the time of day, you can say, good morning before noon, good afternoon from noon to around 5 to 6 p.m., good evening after 4 to 6 p.m., but before bedtime. Do not say good night as a greeting. Good night is only used when you are leaving or going to sleep. That's it for today's lesson. Thanks for watching, See you soon in the next lesson. Hey, hey.